Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another live with Smoking Jim and Sarah. I want to wish everybody out there that's watching all over the world on Facebook Live a very Merry Christmas. I'm so excited to spend time with my favorite person on this earth next to my mama, Sarah. Welcome back, Sarah, and please update all your fans on what's been happening with you.
Well, you know you're my favorite person, so it's true. And we have so many laughs together, so you truly are a blessing. And we have a lot of fun. So today is a great way to look forward to the new year and getting healthy and strong. And we have Andreas Carrillo, CEO of Move-Cor. Hi, Andreas. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you guys? Thank you very much for having me on the show today.
Well, welcome.
I really appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Well, welcome to Live with Smoking Jim and Sarah. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
So I have to say, like I was saying this before we got on the show, which is really important. We're ending the year with two people with the same moral compass that I would completely trust my life with. Okay, Jim, even Andreas here. And it's one of the things where, you know, sometimes we struggle with getting on point with our lives, you know, and trusting people and choosing to get healthier. It's not about getting into that workout regime that could be almost injury related, because sometimes you're like working out 6 times, 7 times a week, which I've done, and then it can end up giving you injury. So you have this great background. It's based on science, and you have a PhD. You're a professor at Chatham, but you also have a background that is very, you know, you have a great reputation. So you share, Andres. You tell us what you do and what is important for people to look at for the new year.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks, Sarah. And yeah, so as you mentioned, I do teach at Chatham University in the exercise science department there, and you know, it's been, you're right, the you know, the lead up to, you know, me having that position was there was a lot of work being done in aging and you know, in disease populations and athletes and such. So at this point, what's I think has been really interesting for me was starting to dig deeper into what, you know, exercise really is. And it all started with looking deeper at the language and really starting to care deeply about the language within that discipline. And the one you know, very simple place to start is looking at the word movement. Mm-hmm. And so move, right, is a part of the company name, right? And I think movement is a word that's actually really starting to pick up, and it's starting to you know, be used a lot more in a very specific way compared to something like exercise. And typically what we would do is probably lump those two words together. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if there's one thing to jump into in the new year is to, let's say, okay, I want to move more. And that's different than saying I want to exercise more, because you could have you know, an exercise plan where you're working out 6 days a week and you're like, okay, I'm going to have an off day. And that's an off day from exercise, but you're still moving throughout the day, right? So there's never an off day from movement. So looking at it as an umbrella term, I think, is really important, and exercise being one component of movement. And so that right there was a huge revelation for me, to be able to actually create a distinction between, you know, those two words, and then it opened up a whole other area of physical wellness, let's say.
What does core mean, though? What terminology is that from?
Yeah, so core is the Latin word for heart. So you have Move-Cor, meaning, you know, moving from the heart. So moving authentically. You had brought up something really important, which you had mentioned the word choice. Mm-hmm. And so it's moving authentically, which of course stems from a choice that you have to make, mm-hmm. right? And so So that reflects some of the values that Move-Cor really supports and believes in.
So you had mentioned you have an email, because literally you're super busy. You deal with like specific corporations and universities and colleges on wellness. So the email folks, if you need to reach out to Andreas, is move-cor, C-O-R, at mail.com. So if there are questions or things that people want to kind of talk to you about, you can reach out to him through the email.
Absolutely.
Because your background is really science-based. There's a lot of stuff out there. We were talking about it before, a few weeks ago. The one thing that concerns, I think, a lot of people about health and wellness is making sure that they get the right information. So anybody can go and do a training or get their certification, but Andreas has a PhD, he's done research, proven research, and he has a PhD in respect to knowing what you should eat, how you should breathe in order to create space, get rid of anxiety, depression, as well as how you can move better so that you don't create injury. And you were showing me one of those things which was really cool about wrist movement, ankle movement, because I'm a runner, so that's one of the things that if you don't protect yourself as we age, it could become a problem.
Yeah, well, there's something, and so definitely it's difficult to, thank you for all the kind words, and definitely, don't know everything about, there's always things, you're always changing, learning everything, and I think it's more the desire to continue to want to learn and develop, and really passionate about that, especially in the area, of course, of wellness and physical nutrition, physical health, that sort of thing. So we were talking about, and this kind of came up from a story that my mom's friend, we were all sort of together with my mom's friend, and she was playing golf with all her golfing buddies, and she had, my mom's friend, after she hit the ball off the tee, she walked over and tripped and fell and landed on her wrist like this, and so she broke her wrist, and that was obviously, most people, if you land like that, you're going to break your wrist, but it's also, how often do you spend time in this position? Never.
Yeah.
Right? And so the idea is that if you don't spend any time like this, you're not sending a signal to the body to say, hey, at some point, I might need you to, respond to being in this position. So the idea is, and one of the things that we really value is movement diversity, and that, what that does is it sends all these diverse signals to the body, to the brain, to say, at one point I might need you to be prepared to be in this position. Wow. and protect the joint and the body. Wow. So something on an off day, which I don't use that very often because you're never off and moving.
Right.
But if you're wanting to, if you're at home, let's say watching a show or watching the Smoke and Jim show.
Yeah, there we go.
You can something so simple as to just take your wrist and take it through its full range of motion, whatever that might be for you, and you're with that you're sending signals to the body to say, hey, I don't want to just be limited in this range of motion, because if that's all we do, then that's all we'll be good at. But as soon as we have to get into this, if we slip on ice or something, and as we get older, of course, you become a lot more susceptible to falls, and then if our body has all this accumulated time of not being prepared to be in vulnerable positions, then injury, and especially the increased seriousness of the injury, can occur, and that can lead to a lot of problems. So,
What do you think, Jim?
Wow, this is so interesting. Again, we're here live with Smoking Jim and Sarah, and I tell you what, I'm learning so much, and I'm sure a lot of people watching right now will probably want to know. I mean, you're in great shape. What do you do on a daily or weekly basis as far as exercise and movement?
Yeah, so I mean, I really enjoy the high intensity interval training. I go to a gym that it's not a CrossFit affiliate, but it's sort of like high intensity training, sort of like CrossFit. It's out in just north of Regent Square, Pittsburgh Fit, and I really enjoy going there. And so I do that 5 days a week or so at 7 o'clock in the morning, and have created a
7 a.m.
7 a.m. and have created a nice routine.
Eliminates me.
Well, there's also 7 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's actually even a 5 a.m.
Wow.
Or maybe a 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Why not, like,
24
right after now?
Yeah.
It's all good.
But also, at work I have a standing desk. So if and it's actually a desk that goes up and down, but I
Really?
keep it up. Yeah, so
Wow.
keep it up mostly, and it's great because it just allows for a lot more movement to occur. So sometimes I'll just take my knees and kind of rotate them, hips, just to continue to move, and again, it's that movement diversity that I'm really trying to consider every day.
I have to say, though, you have to meet his daughter, Aviana. She's delightful. So we're going to
love
give
that
her a
name.
shout out. 'Cause
Oh,
I
yeah.
absolutely
I
love her.
love the name.
She's a yogi. She could do some major stuff with yoga.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She
Um,
is.
Well, I mean, Jimmy, here's the thing. Like, I have to say, from your mom's lovely. I've never met her, but like I was thinking about my mom too. And one of the things about like being raised in your mom as well is that our mothers in general bring out our spirit of who we are, right? I mean, we love our dads, but also I was thinking about one of the things for my mom. She was always she was a teacher, and she did yoga. And the first book that she gave me was BKS Iyengar for yoga. And yoga is a sport. So one of the biggest, controversies about yoga and the spiritual, it's a sport. That's how it was defined. So I practiced at a very young age. And then I you come from a sporting background, football. You played football and you cover it very well.
Thank you.
I really think it's amazing the work that you do. And Andreas covers also the spiritual in the sense of meditation, science behind not only breathing, but also movement. Because what you just said is interesting, because you like the high intensity, but then it's good to be able to provide that one day where you can work out, but you don't need to be at that high level training. You
Yeah.
can do movement,
Yeah, and I think it's so important to consider that even breathing, right? Breathing is moving, so breathing is a form of movement, right? So that's something that there's diversity with respect to how you can breathe as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's a lot of work written up about that, and so it's just interesting with considering that term, how much depth you can go into, even with something like exercise, breathing,
is huge.
meditation. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, the Harvard studies are incredible when they talk about breathing and sleeping and anxiety. So a large part of it is the ability to breathe in respect to being able to sleep better and get rid of also anxiety and depression. So we do have a 72% population who are not sleeping based on family, finance, things that could be easily taken care of with just knowing, the proper breathing techniques. And I think the science behind it is what fascinates me, because I'm all about fact and science, as you are, Jim. And you want to have that. You want science behind how you get healthier versus some of the things that are out there that you're not getting fact behind it, and you're not getting.
I'm going to have to. I've never read any Harvard studies. I'm going to have to upgrade mine. We're here live with Smoking Jim and Sarah, and we got a very, very special guest, and we're learning so much. We're definitely going to have them back by popular demand. But how do you feel about heavyweight training? Now, the probably the greatest bodybuilder of all time, other than Arnold Schwarzenegger's a guy named Ronnie Coleman, and he was a real heavy weightlifter. So now, you know, he's up in age now, but he's had over 12 surgeries,
Yeah.
3 or 4 on his back. He's in a wheelchair now, and sometimes he can walk with a walker. Do you recommend weight training, or is there better ways to go about the movement of exercise?
And that's a really great question, and I think a really important one, and probably one that we could talk about for hours. But I would say that I definitely, you know, resistance training is extremely important, and I think that probably, especially as we age, I think that we should be doing more of it. And so I really appreciate weight training and what it does and all the benefits that come with it. I do, however, believe in let's say something like a U-shaped way of thinking. So if you do no weight training, right, that's going to be problematic. You're going to be at increased risk for you know, muscle weakness, muscle atrophy, let's say, or even fracture because your bones are weak. Then if you go to the other extreme and you're weight training and you want to just, you know, more is better, more is better, more is better, more is better, then you have all these other risks that come with it, like you were describing with Ronnie Coleman. So I believe there's a point where, you know, where you want to resistance train and weight train, eat heavy, right? But at a certain point, it might start to cause you a little bit more harm than good. So I think it's each individual finding out sort of what that sweet spot is for them. But absolutely, you know, no weight training is problematic with respect to health risks. Same with more is better approach. Yeah.
Here's the thing though, Jim, like one of the things I like, because you are so well versed in like not only the bodybuilding world, but the pro athletes, 'cause you've interviewed so many people and you've experienced it yourself as an athlete, is that knowing when to stop. You know what I mean? Instead of saying like, I have to take a day off and being miserable because you're not allowed to exercise. That's why I love Move-Cor, because you can do something that'll move your body and strengthen it. If you want that runner's high and you can't run on the 6th day, you can work with your body and do other resistance training and get the workout in versus feeling like you have to deny yourself from a workout.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually the technology now is so advanced that they have what's called a Whoop